On today's special episode of Homeworthy, we're taking you to the Pennsylvania countryside, where one of our most popular hosts, Ruth McKeaney, shows us that turning a house into a home takes more than just great design.
Something my mom encouraged me. It's not about perfection or performance. It's about loving people well and making people feel like they're at home.
She's having a dinner party for 20 people and shows us how she prepares. From the food to the flowers to the table decor, discover how to host the ultimate gathering, all while staying calm. Well, sort of calm.
Okay, it is stress time because I think I saw someone driving in and I'm not even changed. Bob, I need you to do lights.
So come along with us as Ruth pulls off a festive fall feast in less than 4 hours. You won't want to miss this. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Be sure to visit our website, homeworthy.com, to discover amazing furniture, art, accessories, and more, all handpicked by our editors to help transform your house into a home. All of the items are inspired by the episodes you see here on Homeworthy. Enjoy!
Welcome, Homeworthy. My name is Ruth McKeaney. Welcome to my home, otherwise known as Hillside Farm. In 4 hours, I'm hosting a dinner party for 20. We have a lot to do. Come on in. Welcome to my home and into my kitchen. I'm so excited. This is my very favorite part of my house. It's where all 5 of my kids and my husband and I gather every day. So welcome. We are hosting a fall party tonight. It's my favorite time of year. I mean, the leaves are turning, it's crisp. Actually, tonight is our first frost. So we're gonna make my famous cornbread, and it's in my cookbook, Hungry for Home. After that, we're gonna make honey crisp, apple crisp, and then we're gonna make a hot mold cider. After that, because we've got all the meat on the grill already, we've got brisket, we've got ribs, all that's cooking the whole time. We'll head down to the barn where we're gonna set the table, cut the flowers, and just show you how we do this. All right, let's get started on the cornbread. I think the secret ingredient, I know, close your ears, it's Bisquick. It does have Bisquick in it. So go ahead, you put 4 cups of Bisquick in it, and then you add to that a cup of cornmeal. Go ahead and mix that up. And to that, you're going to add 2 tablespoons of baking powder. And kind of make sure that baking powder is incorporated because that's obviously what makes the whole thing rise. I am not a perfectionist when it comes to baking. I will tell you that. So I'm not one that does the wet things on one side, the dry things. For this recipe, as long as the baking powder is all mixed up, you're going to be just fine. So get all that mixed up. And now we're going to add a cup of white sugar. I mean, this recipe isn't for the faint of heart, especially when you hear what I do at the very end. All right, get all that mixed up. Here, I'm going to add 2 cups of milk. Everywhere I go, in fact, my husband was laughing at me not too long ago. We were in a restaurant and I ordered cornbread. And afterwards I said, I just shouldn't have ordered it. And he's like, why do you even bother getting anyone else's cornbread? And I said, I always have high expectations, but I like it moist and a hint sweet. I know a lot of people like it dry and crumbly and savory, but not me. All right, the next thing we're gonna add is 2 sticks of melted butter. I mean, anything with butter, can't go wrong. Okay, mix that in. And make sure, depending on how hot your butter is when you've melted it, mix it up before you add in all the eggs. Okay, and the final thing we're gonna add is 4 eggs. And the fun thing is we have chickens. So I get to get fresh eggs in the morning, and they're a completely different color. I don't know if you've ever worked with fresh eggs. They're almost like a dark orange. They're beautiful. So get this mixed up. And once this is mixed up, I've got my oven preheated at 350. So this recipe was given to me by a friend probably 20 years ago, and I think if people had to vote for one of their favorite things in the cookbook, this is one of them. And it can almost pass as a dessert, even though it's not a dessert. And one of the secrets is at the very end, I end up taking an additional 3/4 of a stick to a stick of butter, melting it, and pouring it all over the top. You don't even need to add honey to this recipe. It's really fantastic. All right, so it's mixed up. I've already greased the pan. I have a 9x13 pan. And we're gonna pour this in. I also like to make this recipe ahead because it's so moist that it can fall apart if it's still hot. So you really want it to cool before you serve it. So we're gonna get this in the oven now so that we're ready to go. My gosh, I wish you were here. It is really fantastic. All right. We'll be putting it in for 40 minutes till it's golden brown. All right, I've preheated the oven until it's about 350 degrees. Put this in. And we'll visit this in about 40 minutes. Okay, here we are. We're gonna make our apple crisp right now, and we're starting with the apples. Here we have Granny Smith. They tend to be harder. They're not as sweet. So this is what I use for apple crisp. So a lot of people might be wondering where I'm at. We have a farm. It's about 305 years old outside of Philadelphia. And my husband and I and our 5 kids flipped houses for 16 years. We moved every year and a half, redoing old homes, and landed on this 305-year-old house that William Penn deeded. We are the 4th owners. So it's been a real privilege and honor to bring it back to life. Fun story about the apples. I have a cousin who was racing across America in a race, and he had 6 kids. We had just bought this house. I think we might have even been sleeping in tents at the time. And we watched his kids for him for 1 to 2 weeks with my 5 kids. So, you know, you're talking 11 children. And I don't think we had a working kitchen. Anyways, as a thank you, he and his wife and family sent the most beautiful video thanking us, along with 8 apple trees. So our apple trees are very special to us. They form an alley down the property, and I love to send the kids out picking every year. So they're wonderful. Another thing people love to ask me is why I entertain so much. My father and his family grew up all over the world. And as a result, when I lived with my grandparents, we had people through our home constantly. I mean, probably more often than not. And it was formative to me growing up, because it wasn't just about us taking care of and blessing other people, but we were changing in the process. And I wanted a home like that. And so when Bob and I first got married, we talked about what was important to us. What did we want our family to look like? And part of it was blessing people in and through our home. So it's not easy. It doesn't come naturally. It didn't come naturally to me. I used to be an assistant DA down in Virginia. This was not my thing. So learning and not being afraid of entertaining, it doesn't matter where you live. I've entertained, and we aren't even living in the house yet. We're living, in camping. We are all sleeping in one room and we don't have a kitchen. But you find a way to entertain, because something my mom encouraged me. It's not about perfection or performance. It's about loving people well and making people feel like they're at home. And I think often we get confused. Entertaining for a lot of people, that's about the host. Hosting, I think, is about the guest. And so always remember that. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter what you're serving. Think about people before they come. What are their favorite things? How can you make them a part of the process? Assign people to bring things. And then, if you're doing a lot of people like I'm doing today, make things in advance. I prepared things yesterday. I thought through my flowers. I thought through my seating. I thought through who I wanted to be here. Curate those people. You want great conversation. You want focus. That's the other thing. How many parties do we go to and you're like, ugh, you're at the end of the night, you're like, why did I do that? I think, in fact, I'm going to share with you one of the best parties I was ever at. A friend called me and she said, will you host 8 people in your barn that you don't know? I'm bringing them in from around the country. She said, and I'm going to curate this table. And can I tell you, when people left that night, they said it was the best dinner they'd ever been to. And it wasn't because of my food. It wasn't because of where we were at. It was curating conversation. It was making people feel heard. And it was just a really special night. So focus is important, focusing on your guests. So, all right, the apples are done. We're gonna get these cut up and start on the topping. There. Okay, this is the messy part of the meal that I'm making. So I have to show you this fabulous apron. It actually still has the ticket on it. My husband just had these made for me. When I had my cookbook made, he surprised me with hats with Hungry for Home, I think a bag, t-shirts and aprons. So I get to wear it today. All right, here we're gonna do my favorite part of the whole apple crisp. It's not the apple, it's the topping. And part of that is I love anything shortbread. And if you add oats to shortbread, you up it a level. So that's what we're doing right now, is we're going to do the crumble that goes on the top. All right, here we go. The topping, 2.5 cups of flour. I'm gonna dump that in here. Now, I have taken butter and cubed it up. This is 3 sticks, all cubed up, and it's chilled. It needs to be chilled. And I'm gonna pour that in here, and you're gonna have to work it with your hands. I've also done it where you just melt the butter and then pour it in. It doesn't matter, it all melts in there anyway. When I tell my husband I never have taken off my wedding band, I'm not kidding. I know, I probably should take jewelry off, I just don't. And I think I cook so much, I don't even think about it. So, it just means I have to clean it afterwards. All right, it's almost done. All the butter's almost, I think what represents fall, if you were to ask me a dessert that represented fall, it's anything apple, which is why, and for huge groups, apple crisp is a really easy thing to make. You can make them in a big pan, or you can do what I'm doing tonight and just do them individually in ramekins. It just kind of takes the level of your dinner party up a notch, and that's why I'm doing individual ramekins. All right, I think we've got this butter all done. And now we're gonna add to it 3/4 cup of white sugar, 3/4 cup of light brown sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt, and 1 cup of rolled oats. So get this all incorporated. Okay, so the topping's done, and here we go. Here's all the apple cut up. It's about 5 pounds into, basically 1/2 inch to 1 inch pieces. Then you're gonna go ahead and take 1/2 cup of sugar. Sometimes I do a little less, but I don't like things really sweet. And then we're going to take 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon and 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. I'm telling you, when this comes out of the oven, you don't want to be anywhere but in the kitchen because it smells so good. And if you've got your fire going and then you pull out the ice cream and you put this on top, there is no better fall dessert. Okay, now's the time to put it all together and make the magic happen. The oven's hot. We've taken these ramekins. It doesn't matter the size. I like them to be a little bit bigger so you can still put ice cream on top. And I coated them in butter earlier. And what you're gonna take, just grab something that you can put all these in. I like to fill it a little high because as they cook, it will go down. And then you're gonna take the topping, which I am telling you is unbelievable, and kind of cover the whole top. Now these are gonna be at 350 in the oven. Let's see. The other thing I love about this recipe is it doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to look rustic, it's going to look homemade, and it's amazing. And you know, if it needed to look perfect, I might not be your girl sometimes. But this, I don't know, it just makes you feel like you've come home. Speaking of home, I have a fun little story as I finish this. When we were having our house, so our home was put into a certain book, it's called Stone Houses, about 10 years ago, because somebody who used to live here was a pretty famous architect back in 1900. So they brought in this photographer from New York. He was going to stay with us for about a week and a half of taking photos, inside, outside, everywhere. And I was a little bit nervous because I knew the kind of homes and estates that he had taken photos of. So he comes through our house. I follow him through every single room. He doesn't say one word, and I am scared to death because I knew most of our stuff I recovered. I got at estate sales, I got it at garage sales. I knew just it wasn't a high design home. And he came into the kitchen and I said, "Is everything okay?" And he looked at me, he turned around and he said, "I have one word to say." He said, "I'm home." I don't think you could have given me a better compliment. So that's what these will make you feel like you're home. Let's get them in the oven. What's a fall night without a fall drink, especially, I mean, it's gonna get cold tonight. So we're gonna do a hot mulled cider. You start with cider. And don't use apple juice. Use a good cider. Go to one of those farms. Go ahead and pour as much as you need. I mean, again, this isn't a perfect recipe either. You can change it up. You can add ginger. You can take ginger out. What you do, pour the amount of cider you're wanting. Cut some oranges. Just throw the oranges in there. You can get these cinnamon sticks any grocery store. I get them at Costco because I can get a huge amount. Throw cinnamon sticks in there. Then you're gonna take whole cloves. Now what you're gonna do with your whole cloves, because you don't want people drinking these, is you're gonna pour some into a tea strainer. You can also, get it out with flour cloth later or something like that. I put them in here so that they won't escape. Put in a little bit of allspice, and then it boils for like 4 hours. You want it to simmer so that all these things get incorporated. And the secret ingredient when we take this out and take it down to the barn is you'll be giving your guests bourbon that they can mix with this, and I'm telling you, your guests will stay till midnight. So tonight, I'm not just serving the apple crisp. I'm serving something that's called Ruth Barely Baked Cookies, chocolate chip cookies, and if I'm known for anything, it's these chocolate chip cookies. And what I do is I make these in advance, so I always have several dozen in my freezer. I freeze balls of them so that anytime company comes, again, what was I talking about? What is it all about? It's about your guest. I have people showing up after school for tea in the afternoon, late at night when someone's having a hard night, and I'm able to pull out a chocolate chip cookie, throw it in the oven, and have fresh cookies at any time. These will be made for tonight as well. We have another 2.5 hours before the guests start to arrive. And one of my very favorite things to make for a huge group is a charcuterie board. I know, I always wonder if I'm saying that right, but it's a charcuterie board because meats, cheeses, olives, it can have anything you love go on that board. Now, I usually anchor it ahead of time with a big thing of grapes. I like red grapes, you can use green grapes. I also cut up a brown pear. All right, let's put it together. These are the things that I ordinarily have. Different crackers. Don't use the same crackers. Don't just use Ritz crackers or white. You get interesting. I mean, these have fig and cranberry. Do something fun with your crackers. I also like height. Always do something with height. So you can use breadsticks, anything that just gives it a different level. Then just set your cheeses out. We have a goat cheese and a soft cheese, manchego, and a stinky cheese. Those are kind of my staples. In my book, I go over the types that I would put on a board, but I think you need a hard, a soft, and a stinky cheese no matter what. And then you kind of go from there. All right, and then we add something that I love, which is fig. You can get them pretty much anywhere. It's just like a fig jam, and I put it on top of my goat cheese. Everybody likes fig on goat. All right, now we're going, oh wait, forgot I have a spreadable cheese. I like pimento cheese. Get a cute little jar, a fun little knife. I collect different knives. I mean, none of these match. I think that's what makes it fun. So again, don't be perfect. Get what you have, put it out there. But put the pimento cheese, don't serve it in the plastic container. Stick it in a fun jar. So we'll stick that right there. All right, olives. Every store you go into now has an olive bar. So grab something you like. And then from here now, nuts. I love these nuts. There's an Italian market near our house, and they have a great assortment of like a candied cashew, and that's what we've got there. Meat. I had this chef tell me once how to do meat properly. I didn't even know there was a proper way to do meat. Her suggestion was, because you know when you go to somebody's party and they've done a board, the meat is all in a row, perfectly sliced. She said, no, it's not supposed to look like that. So I'm gonna show you. She says, make it look messy. So she says, take for instance this, when you're using this type pancetta, take it, shake it, drop it. So separate it, shake it out, and drop it. It makes it look bountiful, it makes it look messy, and it makes it look, I don't know, like a house should look lived in. Your board should look really inviting, and it should look overflowing. I don't care if you're making too much. I'm a firm believer in having a lot of food. That reminds me. So one of the other reasons why I wanted to learn to entertain, when we were having kids, I said to my husband, I want all the kids in the neighborhood at our house. And so I was talking to my aunt who had 7 kids, and she said, here's how you do it, Ruth. It's not about having the best house. It's not about having the best stuff. It's about having the most food and the best food. And I thought, I can do that. So making people feel thought about, a full cupboard, that's the key. All right, now my very favorite thing, honeycomb. And I don't know if you can see this, but it is beautiful. And you put it out on the board, just like this, with a special knife, and people can put honey on their cheese. It's just a fun addition to your normal things on your charcuterie board. All right, we're doing this. We're gonna do a hot mulled cider. We're gonna greet everybody with those 2 things. So let's do the mulled cider. Look what's ready. Okay, my favorite part of this, and I think it goes back to the fact that this originally was a dairy farm, but I love butter. So I melt a stick of butter, and we literally pour it all over the top and let that soak in until we cut it and serve it at dinner. All right, one step closer to the barn, but before we go down there, I have a cutting garden that has all my herbs. I also put herbs all along my walkway. So here we've got rosemary, and I'm gonna be putting rosemary along each place setting. So I need to grab a bit before I head down. So several years ago, we had been entertaining so much in our house that we thought, maybe we should rebuild the old barn. And the old barn burned down back in the 50s. And it was a huge dairy barn. But we didn't want to build to take over all of the ruins. We just wanted to build a space that we could entertain in and then still have the structure of the old walls. So that's how this barn came to be. One of my very favorite things for my birthday one year, we had found on this property, because originally it was so large, the old millstone that was used. And my husband, for my birthday, rented a crane and had it moved and put it right in the center of the hill leading to the barn. So come on in, we'll show you the barn. Okay, so I'm excited you get to meet my husband, who I think is the best human being on the planet, and that is Bob. And the great thing is he always shows up at the end so he can set things up for me. And I am going to put him to work.
What do you want me to do next?
All right, so what I do in instances like this, it's cold. It is cold outside. We've got the heaters going. I'm wearing a heavy sweater right now. We've got all these sheepskin. I need them put all along all the benches. It warms everything up. It makes it cozy. Everyone feels more at home when there's a sheepskin. So we're gonna lay the sheepskin, and I'm gonna describe to you how I'm setting the table. So obviously it's harvest time, and it's fall, and it's Thanksgiving is coming. So I'm using pumpkins. I tend to like to use white pumpkins or fun colored, not the orange, and it just lasts longer. It takes you into Thanksgiving. So I've got a number of white pumpkins I'll be putting along the table, as well as some autumnal flowers and little lighting, so it'll be fantastic. Okay, Bob, I need these lit before I set the table. Is that okay? These and those.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excuse me for a second.
Here, let me move this out of your way. I use battery operated lights up there. It just makes things easier. Choosing what goes on a table is a lot of fun. I mean, in a couple of weeks, if you were to be here, there would be probably a 20-foot tree at the end of the table. It's fun to change with seasons in this room. And right now, as I said, we're bringing in everything autumn, fall. We've got berries that I cut yesterday, leaves. I went to a landscaper and got some moss that I could put down. So anything to bring the outside in, it feels like fall and bounty. So one thing I use when I'm setting a table, I actually borrowed these from a friend. She has her grandmother's silver. She also has collected hotel silverware, which I did for a long time, and we're gonna mix our pieces. It just adds interest. So we're gonna use a cream plate. I'm not going to use a placemat. Often I use a leather placemat that Bob actually bought a hide for me and cut me a whole bunch of placemats. But I thought, given the fact that I'm gonna use black napkins, that I'm gonna go a little simpler. So we're gonna set this table. I love silver napkin holders, and a dear family friend of ours, many years ago, every Christmas sent me a sterling silver antique napkin ring. So I've collected them over the years, and the same friend who gave me her silverware also collects them, so we're gonna combine them and set them. Glassware can be so much fun because there's so many different kinds of glassware. I like to mix and match. So, I mean, you can go to any thrift store, you can go anywhere and get different kinds of fun. You can get blue glasses. I've seen them in amber, all sorts of things. I'm gonna use a variety of glasses, but again, I just think that adds interest to the table. The other thing I'm doing, I said I've been cutting rosemary, is I'm gonna take a piece of fresh rosemary and put them in each napkin. Again, just a fun element. It's interest. I can't wait. So you are in one of the last places I had my husband build for me, and that's my cutting garden. And so many people are like, why do you need a cutting garden? You have flowers all over your property, but there's purpose behind those. I've got the white hydrangea, I have the catmint, but in here I get to plant anything I want, any color I want. And what we have now are the last remnants of the season. Dahlias are still left, but although tonight I hear it's going down to 32, which means these are all going to die. So we're gonna get as much out of this garden as we can. In here, I've got dahlias. I don't know if you can see this. I'll take a clipping. They're called nasturtia. And nasturtia is an edible flower, so we can throw these into our salad later. In here, what I do is I plant in the spring. So I've got bulbs that come up all spring. They live all summer, and then I get my fall flowers that come in. So it's really fantastic to see every shape, color, beautiful thing. Cut them for your bathrooms, your bedrooms, or to take a friend who's not feeling well. So that's my cutting garden. True confessions, I don't know the names of everything. I just know what I like. So I love a good purple. And we are gonna mix these because I don't have a lot left this time of year. I think one of my favorite places to get flowers is Trader Joe's. I know that sounds crazy, ode to Trader Joe's, but they always have a huge assortment of flowers. So given with what I got and adding these, we're gonna have beautiful bouquets on our table tonight. It makes me sad. This is the very end of summer. These things are all going. Right behind me too is our chicken coop that you can see that we put up. We had an original chicken coop and it was sliding off the foundation. And while we were gone on vacation, a fox got in and killed about 20 of our chicken. So over COVID, Bob built me a new chicken coop. Here we have a little bit of yarrow. Usually it's yellow in color, but obviously it's lost its color, but it's gonna look fabulous in our flowers. All right, I'm about to show you my very, very favorite place on this property. And that is this little garden right behind you. When we finished putting up the barn, getting everything done, my husband said, all right, are we done? Is there anything else you have left? And I said, yes, the one area down here, it was filled with trees. All that stuff you see out there filled it. And Bob looked at me and said, what do you want? And I said, I'd like an English garden. So he cleared it, he laid the stone for me, and we've got a little fireplace and a place to eat, and it's my favorite place. Okay, I need to take 2 minutes to sit and just actually enjoy. Everyone comes in about 30 minutes. Even the chickens have gone in. And it'll be time to go change, get the final prep in the kitchen done, and I just want to actually enjoy it. Okay, it is stress time because I think I saw someone driving in and I'm not even changed. Bob! Yeah. Bob, I need you to do lights. Right. Okay, so my husband's gonna do all of the candles. I'm finishing up on these flowers. We're mixing what I had in my garden with what I got at Trader Joe's. And we'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, before I go in there and face everybody, right now we're in the ruins and this is where my daughter got married, and it's fun to talk about because we're doing a little bit of the same thing tonight. We had about 250 people for my daughter's wedding, and I didn't want the normal sit-down dinner or buffet style. I wanted it family style. So what we did is we had the wedding in here with a tent out there with long king's tables, and we served family style. So I had a chef bring big old platters of meats and seasonal tomatoes and mozzarella, and it was probably one of my favorite nights because, again, it was people getting to know each other. It wasn't at a formal table. It was sharing a meal, sharing food. So on the food note, here is one of my favorite things that we've had done. We were in Switzerland on a family vacation and my children were paragliding, and I'm sitting in a field with my husband outside this little restaurant, and we're watching the kids come in, and next to us were these tall, well, it looks just like this. It was like a torch, and I told my husband, I want a torch. So we got back in the States. He contacted somebody in Lancaster and had it made for me. And on it, he put Hillside Farm, and on the side, it says bless, which is kind of our family motto. We have two mottos, together and bless. So this is a great torch in this area. For those of you who know, we have some news. As of last weekend, my second daughter, out of the 4 daughters and 1 son, just got engaged. So we are having another wedding here in October. And after asking her, I said, what do you want different? And she's like, I want it the same. We'll have some colors that are different, but it'll be fun to figure out how to recreate this space yet again. I'm ready. The food is almost off the grill. Bob is finishing lighting up, and my first guests are arriving. Let's go meet them and get them some hot cider.
Looks amazing.
We're so excited for tonight.
The cackle.
This is for
All right.
you.
Thank you.
This looks amazing. So is this
So, okay, so this is cider. This is like one of your favorite recipes, isn't
Yes.
it? Okay, but the bourbon's on its way down. Let me grab another glass.
That's perfect.
Is that all you want?
That's perfect.
We also have wine if you want any
No,
wine.
great. Thank you.
Okay.
Delish.
All right, how are the kids?
Good. Cheers.
Yeah.
Good. Cheers. Thanks. Cheers.
You're welcome.
So we're the first
Where's
to
the bourbon?
arrive?
You're the first to arrive. Good. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
See you.
Too.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank every single person for coming. You were chosen to be here for a reason. And I don't know, it's that time of celebrating family and the friends that you consider family. So I want to thank every one of you, and I want to toast you. And I feel deeply blessed by the fact that you're in my life. So thank you.
As Ruth said, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for being here. I mean, each and every one of you have played such an important role with who we are, where we're at today along our journey of fixing up homes or raising children. So we are where we are because of you guys, and I want to say thank you because you guys are family. So, cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Love you guys.
Love you.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time together. We thank you for family. We thank you for friends. We thank you for this food. Bless our bodies. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right. Okay, here we have the apple crisp with vanilla ice cream and Ruth's Barely Baked cookies. All right, time to pass them out. Do you want an apple crisp? All right. You're welcome. There you go. I love you.
Well, there's warmth. Regardless of the season, there's always an invitation to show up. And the door is always open. And when you come to Ruth and Bob's, there's an enveloping. Their arms are always around you. The food's always amazing, and she is not stressed about it. Which most of us, when you're having anyone over, usually they'll add some tension or there'll be some difficulty, assembling food and all. But it's just. They're very peaceful and relaxed and just inviting, always. I mean, I will just drop in at any time on a given day, and it's always like that. So there isn't like, well, we're doing this special just for the party or we're acting a certain way. It's their authentic selves all the time. So you feel loved, you feel invited, you feel welcomed, you feel part of the family. Even if you've never met them before, they're just, they have an impact on me and my family, and it's rippled to even my children, where they're welcomed and they love on you despite whatever you're going through. So it's the fire's always going, the candles are always lit, the food is always out, and you're just kind of fed in all different areas of your life. We love being here.
I'm Paul Morgan, and I'm Ruth McKeaney's father. And I'm so proud of her, but just I want to talk about right here, because we're talking about family, we're talking about home and the hunger for home, and what is it about home, and that because sometimes it's cold and dark, especially in the winter, that kind of thing. So some people experience it, it's just cold and dark. But the reality is that we hunger for it. We hunger for a home that in fact is warm, where people are genuine with each other. And that's what Ruth has developed here in terms of friendships. That's whether it's in this barn, there is an ambience of comfort, because also the other aspect about it is that the art of, and I think what it is both Ruth has an art and a skill of loving people well. And that's what I find is important, especially in the holiday season, because for many people, the holiday season, because we're entering into November, Christmas, the holiday season can be really lonely. And it's the importance of this type of gathering, of where you intentionally come together and give to one another, and it's just warm. So that's what we're experiencing here tonight. And so I wish you all well in terms of the holiday season. God bless you.
One reason why hosting events here is really special is just being able to bring different people together, especially because with many events, it's just people from all over the place. So they get to come together and meet one another and grow through fellowship with us as a family.
I just want to thank Bob, to anyone who's watching, because I can't imagine doing anything in life without him. And the fact that we've been able to flip houses, raise 5 kids, and love each other well through the entire process, to me that's the most important part of it all anyway. And if this didn't work, none of the rest of it works. So, thank you.
You're welcome. And it's when two people are always pushing in the same direction, you can actually accomplish more than twice as much. And we would never be able to pull off what we pulled off without always being in the same direction. Fixing houses, fixing this property up and having it be what it is today. I mean, sitting on this porch right now, where this porch was just trees and weeds when we bought this property, and also bringing up our 5 children, and having one already married on the property, another one being married on the property in a year. Some would say it's a production. For us, it's a fun journey.
We're blessed.
And we are blessed.
Thank you, Homeworthy. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you for celebrating people and friends with us. Have a wonderful fall.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.